Alrighty, so we now know the matchup for this year's MLS Cup, and it's going to be a black and gold derby, as two teams that wear black and gold in MLS will be facing off against each other in MLS Cup 2023, and that, of course, is the Columbus Crew and LAFC after LAFC got the 2-0 win against the Houston Dynamo. And I'm not going to lie, after what we saw in the Hell is Real derby, and after just such a great game that we saw, probably going to go down as one of the best conference final we ever seen in MLS history. This was a huge letdown. And I was really hoping that this was going to be a good game. I mean, I even said in the preview that I expect this to be a relatively good game and that I don't think LAFC is just going to comfortably walk their way into the MLS Cup just like they did against Austin FC. So, yeah, they kind of did that in this game. And part of that has to do with the fact that they did a good job in terms of executing the plan in this one, which is they're just going to allow Houston to have all the possession because they know that the Dynamo is a team that doesn't really do well when it comes to having all the possession. And then they also hit them on the transitional play. And at times they also try to high press because, the Dynamo at times have problems in terms of dealing with the high press. But I think the story of this game has to be set pieces where, yeah, the Dynamo were not good whatsoever in terms of set piece defending in this one. Now, in the first half, the only notable thing in this game is that we actually had the kickoff delay for a couple of minutes because it seems like LAFC might have overdone the pyrotechnic, or shall I say, the 3252 might have overdone the pyrotechnic because, they had their tifo in the beginning of the game. They were kind of having a pyro party, kind of like what you see maybe in Eastern Europe with those hardcore kind of ultras with a pyro party before the game, and maybe they got a little too hard because yeah, it was like the smoke was so thick in the beginning of the game. Like they were about to kick off. They showed the angle of when they're about to kick off the game, and you just could not see anything. And it's no surprise that MLS basically say, yeah, there's no way we're kicking off the game like this if nobody is able to see the game. And I bet even for fans that attended this game, they probably can't see anything whatsoever. So yeah, they had to delay for a couple of minutes. I mean, that's kind of peak MLS moment when you have the kickoff being delayed because of pyrotechnics. That kind of got a little bit overdone at least in this game. But by the time the game did kick off, we saw the post denying Vela and LAFC the opener in the second minute. Carlos Vela, this could potentially be his last home game as an LAFC player because he's out of contract, and he definitely played like it. I mean, this was probably the best I've seen Carlos Vela play in this one in the whole season, and it's only fitting that he saved his best in probably the last time he's going to be playing in front of his home fans, and that for many people will say that he is definitely Mr. LAFC and that he just want to have that one last great performance before potentially saying goodbye to the LAFC fans, at least playing at home, that is. But I've also said that the turnover seems to be a big issue for Houston early. They were just unable to keep the possession in their own half. Part of that has to do with LAFC doing a good job in terms of pressing, but also part of that is just some lazy passes from the Houston Dynamo. This was a problem in the last game against Sporting KC. They did turn the ball over a couple of times against Sporting KC, and I've said before they cannot afford to do that against LAFC, especially with how good LAFC is on the transitional play. Because in the fourth minute, it looked like LAFC got the opening goal, but the flag did not agree with them as the flag came up for offside, and of course that came off of a Dynamo turnover that led to Vela scoring a disallowed goal. And then on the other end, Kripo would denied fair as that was really the Dynamo first shot and really one of the best chances the Dynamo has had. I was kind of disappointed that the Dynamo they didn't really creating too much chances and Kripo didn't really had to make too much save in that one. But again, that's partially due to the fact that LAFC was doing very good in terms of defending. I mean, they've been defending very well this season, LAFC, and it's shown once again in this game too. On the other end, Clark would deny Vela in the near post. There was definitely no feeling out period. I mean, both of these teams were definitely getting some good chances. Both goalkeeper has to come into the fold straight away. Though I thought as the game goes on, LAFC continued to high press. Houston continued to have problems in terms of turnover. And I said they got to watch out for it. They have to cut those turnover. They can't just keep doing that, or else they're gonna eventually get punished. Carrasquillo would then hits one right to Crepeau before Morello hits it right to Clark, who had a free header in the box from the corner. That would be a feat throughout this game, and that is also the reason why I said that the Dynamo was very poor in terms of set piece defending. There was just way too many times in this game when LAFC player got open when the corner delivery, especially Jesus Moreno. There was a couple of times when he found himself wide open, and that should not happen when you're trying to defend a set piece. And then Clark decided to went down and kind of do a little shithousery there because, Steve Clark, he is also kind of the master of dark arts, trying to maybe do a little gamesmanship. I mean, I know the announcers that try to say that maybe he got injured. He didn't get injured. He's just doing that just for some gamesmanship and so forth. And yeah, it's no surprise that the LAFC fans were not a big fan of his gamesmanship that he did. Though that being said, in the 30th minute, he might have got away with a denial goal score opportunity, Steve Clark, because he came off his line here. It was pretty clear that he wasn't going to get to it, and he brought down Vela. It looks like Vela looked like he was in on goal there. If it wasn't for an offside that was given, that probably could have potentially been a denial of goal score opportunity. If anything, could have been a yellow card too for Steve Clark. So yeah, Steve Clark definitely got away with a moment in there, and really he came off his lines like there before that ball was played through. So yeah, not a great job there from Steve Clark, but he got away with one there. Palacio then puts it wide as the flag went up. The shots were 5-3 for LAFC. 41 minutes in, Oliveira would then puts it high in the near post, but there was no doubt LAFC was knocking on the door. Like they were creating some good opportunity. They were looking for the opening goal. And they got it in the 44th minute. It's Ryan Hollinshead scoring here to make it 1-0 in favor of LAFC. Guess what? Where that goal came from? It came from a corner and it came from a set piece. Again, just lazy defending there from the Houston Dynamo in terms of set pieces. I believe it was either Elie or Chiellini got to the header there, and they found themselves open there in the box. Again, these free headers were just killing these this Dynamo team in terms of their set piece defending, and it's no surprise that eventually they were gonna get punished because of that. So yeah, that gave LAFC a 1-0 lead heading into the second half, and in the second half, not much really happened, which I thought that favors LAFC. The Dynamo continued to dominate possession, but that was by design. LAFC was happy of seeing the Dynamo having all the possession, but really have no idea in terms of solving this good LAFC low block. Again, set piece defending continued to be a problem for the Dynamo. There was just times where, once again, players for LAFC getting free headers in the box that probably shouldn't have happened if the opposition can do a better job in terms of defending set pieces. Bawanga would then miss wide from the corner in the 68th minute. Bawanga didn't have a good game in this one, but that's okay because even though he didn't had a good game in this one, LAFC still at times look very threatening, and that's also just show you an example of that. For LAFC, they have shown that it's not just a Denise Bawanga, it's not just a one man show. They have the supporter cast to back up, and that the supporter cast definitely shown up big in this one. In the 76th minute, definitely a bittersweet moment here if you're an LAFC fan because LAFC or Vela of course was subbed off of what could be the final home game for him, and LAFC got a big standing ovation in front of the sold out crowd at BMO Stadium. And in the 80th minute, LAFC make sure that they make it to MLS Cup for the second consecutive year. As unfortunately, Franco Escobar, who of course has been just so big in this playoffs for the Houston Dynamo, he unfortunately scored an own goal here. I mean, I'm pretty sure he forgot that he's not an LAFC player anymore. But yeah, that gives LAFC a 2-0 lead. And then Escobar trying to do a Yamar moment. He had a header there that was clear off the line there, so he almost scored one and also scored an own goal. And for those of you that don't know the Yamar reference, this was back when Seattle played against Minnesota, and Yamar not only scored a goal in this game, but he also score an own goal on the opposite side. But yeah, in the end, that was pretty much the last action. I mean, there was a couple of chances for both of these teams, nothing worthy to note to put on the board. And in the end, it was a relatively comfortable 2-0 win for LAFC versus the Houston Dynamo. And again, I was hoping that was not the case. I was hoping maybe the Dynamo would show up more in this one, but in the end, it was relatively comfortable. I mean, the quality and the playoff experience in this stage kind of show them for LAFC as again relatively comfortable 2-0 win against the Dynamo. The shots in this one, 18 shots for the 10 that Houston had, 5 shots on goal for the 6 that LAFC had, 9 shots off target for the 2 that Houston has. Both teams had 3 shots that was blocked, and possession wise, the Dynamo had more of the possession, 70% possession compared to 30% possession, but it didn't matter because that was by design for Steve Cherundolo. It's not very often you can say that Steve Cherundolo got the tactics spot on because that's kind of been one of the criticism that I've heard from LAFC fans that they don't like how Cherundolo at times got the tactics wrong in some of these big games, but he definitely got it spot on here. He really out coached Ben Olsen in this game, and in some way, you could say that for Ben Olsen, this feels like after all the good things that he has done, maybe DC fans are now saying that yep, this is the Ben Olsen that we know of in terms of some of these big games and unable to 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 win these big games and get the tactics right in these big games like that. But that being said, despite that, if you're the Houston Dynamo, what a season it's been. I mean, there's no shame whatsoever losing in the Western Conference Final, and for a team that, again, I do think that this team is ahead of schedule in terms of what I think they could be. I think this team could definitely be stronger and could be a regular contender in the Western Conference if they can get a couple of more pieces in this team. And that, yeah, again, the future is definitely bright for this Dynamo team, and I think there's every Dynamo fans will be happy with how this season went. I mean, not to mention they also won the U.S. Open Cup too and won a trophy. That again, anytime when you win a trophy, even if it's kind of a loss in the conference final and you kind of ran out of magic and ran out of steam, you should be very happy of how this season has gone, especially for a Dynamo team that has had so much struggle for the past couple of years. But for LAFC, again, they are moving on into MLS Cup. They're looking to becoming the first team since their intercity rival, the Galaxy, to win back-to-back MLS Cup. But if they're going to do that, they're going to have to go to Columbus, and this, again, feels very eerily similar to what we saw in 2020 when Seattle went to MLS Cup for the second consecutive time. They had to face against the Columbus Crew, and they lost that game. So, yeah, it should be very interesting to see how that game is going to go. And, of course, I'll definitely do some video leading up to that game, and maybe even do a video looking at some of the best MLS Cup that we have seen, because we have seen some really great MLS Cup. I mean, I think everybody are still thinking about that MLS Cup that we saw last year, which was going to go down as probably the greatest MLS Cup we ever seen between LAFC versus the Philadelphia Union. But yeah, here we are. We are near the end of the season. We're finally getting ready to play the big game, and I know this playoffs. There's been a lot of criticism in terms of this playoffs, and there's no doubt. Hopefully, MLS might be thinking about changing it in the near future, especially heading into next season. We're about to find out who's going to be either crowned as the new MLS Cup champion, or we're going to see something we haven't seen in over a decade now, which is a team repeat as MLS Cup champion, or in the case we'll see another LA team repeat as MLS Cup champion, because again the last team to do it was the Galaxy a couple about a decade ago, well more than a decade ago, and now LAFC is looking to follow that footstep. But let me know in the comments below what do you think of this game, and as always, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys leave a like, smash the subscribe button, and yeah, I of course will see you guys next time.